Wow, Mabrika, Mabrika, Mabrika. You know that I just gave a whole rundown, a beginning of how I got introduced to the Funky 4+1 and played on that first 12 inch, percussion. And I'm thinking I'm live, and I didn't press the button. I'm learning, trying to create content over here, and learning about this whole stream yard and this technology, this live broadcast or whatever. So what I want to do is let me go back then. Let me tell you about the story, of how I recorded one of the first hip hop record in history, which is the Funky 4+1 More. You can Google it, the Funky 4+1 More. This is the way we rock the house. Now, mind you, I'm coming from the South Bronx in the heavy Cuban area where, you know, drums were constantly around me. You walk down the block, you'll be like five guys in the stoop playing rumba, congas, and this is what this is the way I grew up. You know what I'm saying? So I Max Bird, you still have that? Yeah, that's me in the beginning with the congas. Yeah, but let me tell you how we did that. And so I moved from the 170th Street and Jerome Avenue playing congas and playing in the street, rumba and stuff. I moved up to Fish Avenue, up there by Boston Road, Fish Avenue, where the Stardust Ballroom was at. And then and I was gonna go into my beginning freshman of high school year. I moved there and I was in the high school. My first year of high school, Evander Child High School. I went 4 years to Evander Child High School. Well, anyway, I moved up to that area, which is primarily more Black Americans. And down the block from me used to live Steve Jordan. Now, anybody know Steve Jordan was the drummer for Saturday Night Live for a long time. Also was the drummer on the Blues Brothers, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd when they formed the Blues Brothers from that movie. Steve Jordan is the drummer. He lived down the block from me. Steve Jordan is also a well-known producer, played with Sheryl Crow. I mean, he's a top one of the top drummers nationwide. I would even say internationally, he made a name for himself. Well, anyway, um, I used to ride my bike because I was bored. You know, I came from the South Bronx playing congas and everything, and so I wanted to see if in the neighborhood who's out there with congas, who's out there. No, let's go get it popping. Let's go. What's happening? You know what I'm saying? So I'm riding. When I used to ride my bike, I used to hear a brother Cool Herc used to be in the they on Fish Avenue. There used to be a projects. I lived in the where the house side was on the other side of Boston Road was a project. There was a school, and Cool Herc used to go in there and jam at the schoolyard. A lot of the jams were at the schoolyards, and I used to listen to Cool Herc, and I used to ride my bike down there. Also up the block, down up that block, going up was DJ what's his name? Shit, Breakout, DJ Breakout. And DJ Barron lived more towards the South Bronx, but they were working together. DJ Barron and DJ Breakout, and they used to have the Funky 4+1 More in their shows, and he used to MC. But I remember Cool Herc had the Funky 4+1 More. I don't. I just see Cool Herc alone. But anyway, I'm riding my bike, and I used to ride my bike, and up there in that area about Fish Avenue, there wasn't conga players. It was like more like musicians, and they had a lot of garage band. Everybody wanted to be the next Commodores. They wanted to be the next Cool in the Gang or Confunction. Remember that group Confunction? Brass Construction. Matter of fact, we used to play those songs. That was the time. In the '70s. Brass Construction, boy. Woo! And so a lot of garage bands in that area. There was a few garage bands, and some was starting to get a little notoriety, locally. Nice, and so there was a lot of musicians, very very talented musicians at the time, BT Express. Yeah, I was born to Brooklyn, but yeah, everybody wanted to play those. Everybody wanted to be that. So especially up there, especially with the bands, garage, they call them garage bands. You know what I'm saying? So I'm riding my bike and I see these guys jamming. I didn't have congas. I moved up to the North Bronx without no conga, but I had a cowbell that was given to me by a good friend of mine who used to play with a very prominent Latin artist, Spanish salsa artist. He gave me this cowbell. So I have my cowbell. So I see these guys jamming, and I just stopped my bike, and they were like, "Yo, come here, you a musician? Yo, you come on, check us out." So they're like, "Yeah, man, I go, checking your guys out," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I play percussion, I play conga, but I don't have conga. I got a cowbell, but I say, "I'll be right back." So I rode my bike, got my cowbell, one cowbell with a stick. Man, I was jamming with just one cowbell. And we were jamming and I was digging it and they were like, "Bro, damn, cowbell. Man, you play that cowbell like you know what you're doing, bro." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "I know how your Puerto Ricans are, man. Y'all got that in y'all." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, one cowbell." So they got this guy that had some congas, but he couldn't play the congas. So he brought them and then I started jamming. You see, I was already used to jamming R&B grooves because I used to listen to a lot of Marvin Gaye, a lot of OJ's. Back in the '70s, the congas you could hear in the music. You hear congas in the music, and you hear those patterns. So I was like, man, learning all those patterns. You know what I'm saying? Not only my traditional patterns, because I knew all the traditional Afro Puerto Rican patterns, Afro Cuban patterns, and the merengue. I knew all those patterns, professional trained with those patterns. But I also at the house used to listen to a lot of R&B, and I was, learning all those patterns. So I fitted in with these guys because I played those patterns. They were like, "Damn, they never heard no one play like that." Even though I knew a percussionist that lived next to Steve Jordan that used to play with the OJ's, and he was bad, but he was Cuban, but he played R&B style. He was nice, but he was always on tour. We used to always talk, and it was like, "Yo, you got it." And he used to encourage me a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so this drummer comes over and he was like, everybody moved out the way, got off the drums. All the musicians was like, "Oh man," Edward Bedworth was his name. Pumpkin. They call him Pumpkin. May he rest in power. Passed away a couple of years ago. So Pumpkin comes, sits on the drums. Now he's like a Billy Cobham. You know Billy Cobham, the drummer? Billy Cobham was one of the top drummers. I mean, funky, jazzy, and you could stop all the music and you take over the drums, soloing, a soloist. Billy Cobham was it. This guy Edward was knew all of Billy Cobham techniques, because drummers they study other drummers' techniques. So this guy was like a Billy Cobham on the drum, but funky, funky, funky. I started hanging out with this drummer because when I started playing conga, me and him, we vibe. So then I used to go to his house, in his garage, up there by Laconia, Bronxwood, up there by next to Edenwood Project, most up to the North Bronx. Man, we were jamming in the garage. As a matter of fact, he was playing with the Blackbirds drummer who was playing keyboards and he was playing drums, and then I was playing percussion called the Triad. And man, that was some powerful jazz, funky music we did. You know what I'm saying? I sat in with them a couple of times and intense. And Mr. Gigi up there about 222nd, something like that. I'll tell you another story about that. But anyway, we started jamming. Everyone invited over a bass player, guitar player, and we started jamming. So then everyone said, "I got some guys coming over that are from the South Bronx, and they're coming over." So I'm thinking they're musicians. They walk in, they come over to the garage. We're there jamming, and I see one. They dress I knew they were from the South Bronx with the way they dressed with the Lee pants with this graffiti on the side and the Lee jacket with little graffiti and the Kango, you know, dress like the way they used to dress back then. And nice polish, but they had like a little pocketbook. And I was like, oh, so strange this shit. Little pocketbook. So I would say, yo, amp is over there. You can plug in over there. And I'm like, what kind of instruments these guys got? I don't see no. I didn't see them. Yeah, Edenwood Projects, brother. I'm talking about. Yeah, the lead suits. Yeah, you know, Max Berry. You know. So they pull out microphones like a short 58 microphones out of these pocketbooks and started plugging them in. 1 2 1 2 check check check, and I'm like, what the fuck? These singers, right? So I'm thinking they singers. So we start jamming. We says, oh, to take on this groove, the bass player does on the groove. We start jamming. Next thing I hear is nothing but words, rap. They call it rocking. They started rocking, MCing. And I was like, damn, 1 2 1 2. This is the way, they were 1 2 1 2, hip hop, 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 you don't stop. And they going at it. And I'm like, what? We were jamming. We jammed for hours, I think 2 hours straight, just jamming and rapping. It was like in the garage. So Eric Cole will come to my house again. After that's all done, I go back at intense. He comes to my house and says, yo, these guys got in contact with their manager, who was with Bobby Robinson. And everybody know Bobby Robinson, the Sylvia Robinson ex-husband, because the Sylvia Robinson, the one that came, that did the Sugar Hill Gang, but that came after. Bobby Robinson was the first one on Enjoy Records that started with the, recorded Grandmaster Flash, DJ Break, Funky 4 plus 1 more, you know, it was Bobby Robinson. So they spoke to him, and Bobby wanted to invest money, wanted to bring this project. He wanted to bring this project into the studio. When he was here, he didn't hear us, but I guess he had faith in the funky, in the rapping Funky 4 plus 1 more, Rodney C, Keith Keith, K Rockwell, Jazzy Jack, and this is before Shara. We were jamming before Shara came on the scene. So I guess they convinced him. So he said, okay, So we practiced one time alone at Rolling Stone. Says got the musician he wanted to use, and so a van came to pick me up in the middle in the evening. So I had to convince my mother, Mom, I want to go. But I was getting old already. I was a senior. I was becoming a senior in high school. I was graduating in 79 in June. And this happened in like around Christmas time of 78. So a van come pick me up, and in the van is this young lady. So I sit in the back with the young lady, and she's like, oh man, yo, you Puerto Rican? Well, I heard you bad on those drums. I can't wait to hear. Blah, 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 blah. She turned out to be Sha Rock, one of the original rappers, Sha Rock. Thin, beautiful girl, cute girl. I was so honored. She was so cute. She sat in the back with me, and we were like, talking and shit. So we go down to 57th Street. That's all in Midtown. And I remember it was a 20th Century Studio where they did the voiceovers for. They just did the voiceover for National Lampoon movies. It's comedians, the National Lampoon movie, and they used to do the voiceover because sometimes in the movies they'll film the movie and then they'll do the voiceover later, and they'll go in the studio and do the voices or whatever. Right? So we go in the middle of the night, and this is like we go out there like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and no, it might have been a little earlier. It might have been like 11 because we were done by 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I remember I almost got in trouble for that, but we go in there, and Bobby immediately we met Bobby, and he told us, yo, okay, so the engineers, these white guys, they were excited because they were like, yeah, we finally get to record musicians and pa. And when they heard and they said congas, they were like, we never recorded congas before. This is the first time they recorded congas. That's why when you hear the conga, it sounds a little, I don't know, a little dry in a way. And I had a tune. I could have, and I should remember. That's when I started learning about tuning my drums. I should have tuned it up a little higher and gave it a little more defined type of sound. But I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? So Bobby told us to go in there, and they isolated me in a room. Change this for a minute. They isolated me. Oh, sorry, to a room and told me to, and then I with headphones, and I'm hearing everyone on the other end, and we're playing. We're on playing. And we started jamming to "Got to Be Real." Boom, 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 boom. But we had to come up with an intro. So Arrow was the one that said, "Let's do a percussion intro." It's like I'm gonna hit these hits, bam, and I came in the middle, and you filled it up. And I was, bam, baka, doo, 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 bam, ba, baka, doo, 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 bam, baka, doo, 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 baka, bam, baka, doo, 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 bam, 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 bam. You know what I'm saying? So we came up with that right on the spot because they wanted to feature the congas. They wanted to make that a feature. So we recorded it. They went in there. They did the vocals on top of it. After we recorded the jam, because they told us this is a jam. Let's get it funky, feel it, jam. And then we used to come up with some stuff. And I used to come up with some stuff on the conga. And then after we recorded, we got like a good half an hour full of stuff. Then the rappers, the MCs came in and they did their thing. And man, they did their thing. So again, I'm in class and everyone tells me, yo, no, everyone comes to my house first and gives me two of those 12-inch. It is your copy, and he paid me. I got paid $250 for just that one session for like a half an hour. $250. That was great. I was like, yo, what? Is there any more recordings? I went and got me some expensive G's. I got me my. But anyway, so I listened to the album. I was excited. And my mother, yeah, recorded it, and it was like, cool, whatever. I wasn't too like caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? But I remember being in class, and everyone comes to me and says, "Yo, did you hear Grandmaster Flash came out with a 12-inch?" This is like a couple of months later. So you see, Funky 4 plus one more came out first, and like 2 months later, or a month or 2 months later, Grandmaster Flash, the Furious 5, I believe it was Furious 5, they came out with theirs with Raheem and them. I remember, you know, and right there, almost at the same time. Now African Bambata started recording. African Bambata was there jamming a lot he was jamming in Evander Child, a big jam, a full house. But he wasn't too much into the recording process at that time with MCs. But he was just doing a lot of DJing. So that's how I was got involved with that recording. From then on, I did a more and more recording with different other artists. But we was the first one to Enjoy Records. First one in Enjoy Records, 12-inch of that rap. Yeah. And then later on, Errol went to record some more. And then King of the Beat, I think he went to work with Tommy Boy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know because I went a different route. I started doing a lot of R&B stuff. So I went a different route. And Tito Puente, George Benson. I started doing a lot of things with other people. I wanted to get just like expand my freelancing ability, and touring and playing. The money started to come in, so and here and there. So I started to do that. Profile. Was it Profile? Yeah, Profile. I can't remember because I wasn't part of that. I had left. I just did the Enjoy stuff, and then they went on to do more. Yeah, Arrow was nice, bro. Arrow was yeah. He recorded King of the Beat, and that was his own Pumpkin and Friends. King of the Beat. Yeah, 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 yeah. Profile Records. Good. Yeah, that sounds right. You know, But I lost contact with Errol, and I saw him later on when he came back from Japan, and I didn't like the way he looked. I mean, it was strange to see him, such a big guy, lose so much weight, and then later on he died. And that really kind of like affected me a lot. It hurt me a lot. But yeah, I don't know Larry Smith. I'm not too sure who Larry Smith is. But I might know him. I don't know. Pee Wee Ford was his cousin. He used to play bass for Stacey Lattisaw. Bad. Pee Wee Ford was amazing bass player. Short guy used to play the bass up here. Oh man, Pee Wee was nasty. That was Errol's cousin, Pee Wee Ford. Pee Wee, yep, yep. And now you got Marcus Machado is a family because I think one of the guitar players when we used to rehearse, we had a band called Cream. We used to rehearse. Orlando Machado, Pumpkins, Marcus Machado's father used to play guitar. That's when I met him play guitar. You know, but yeah, that's history. That is history. And now you see, look at what it became. Because I remember, in the radios, I think it was WWRL or something back then. There was no being played on the radio. And I was hoping to hear Funky Folk Plus One More on the radio like that, but I don't think it had that commercial. I don't know, something was missing there. But when Sylvia did Sugar Hill Gang, that that made it on the radio. That's the first time I heard that type of music on the radio was with Sugar Hill Gang. I mean, there used to be, those little bootleg radio stations and stuff. You had to catch them. I used to catch some awesome hip hop stuff in the Bronx. Whoa! But they were like basement type of radio. I don't know. They used to hijack the frequencies. These DJs, I think they banned that, but they used to hijack the frequencies, and all of a sudden you be tuning in your radio, and all of a sudden boom, you catch it, and man, yo, those DJ and the rappers, I mean, there was stuff. It was a college radio, private radio, yeah, pirate radio, yeah. That was like, whoa, intense shit, man. Intense, intense, intense. But yeah, those were the days. Those were those how it started. That's how it started. You know, that's how it started. So you know, just wanted to now music now is becoming. I'm like I said, music has taught me to become international, global, because like I said, I listen to so many different types of music. And we all did. Most of the guys like Arrow, we all did. We listened to certain time we got an idea. Matter of fact, when hip hop first started, when you go up to like Pole Park, when these DJs, Cool Sky, and guys that were unknown at that time, but guys that were doing some groundbreaking DJ work on the turntables. And they used to handcuff guys and scratching, and I mean these guys are bad. They um they used to take a lot of the rock albums and loop that. They used to do the break sections of some of these rock albums. Like I remember, we will rock you, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, they will run that, dun, 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 dun. And then that was the beat. We used to rock to that beat. Also, the Mexican was groundbreaking, man. So there was a lot of rock influences. And then of course James Brown influences and stuff like that. Whole thing like that. You know, disco changed things around too. Even though disco comes back from the '70s too. I grew up listening to. I think the first disco thing that I listened to was Van McCoy. With the whole Rock the Boat was one of the first disco records I ever heard. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat. Oh well, Van McCoy, I believe it was. Yeah. So you music is like I told people, a lot of musicians I know say music. The word music comes from the word muse, like amusement park, muse. Man, Tower Power. Whoa, yep, yep. A lot of those groups, yep. So the music, the amusement is pleasure, is to muse. Even in ancient Kemet, when you had the player, the oud player, the harp and the tambourine, it was to muse the pharaoh, muse. And then in Africa, the rhythm, the percussion, there was different rites of passage when it came to percussion, because in some tribes they were distinguished by their particular pattern, percussion pattern. And then when I was playing at Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure with Congolese players and Senegal players, the Senegal player had a different way of playing. The Congolese player with the tom tom drums had a different way of playing. A guy from Mali, from Benin with the djembe has a different way of playing from the guys from Senegal. You know what I'm saying? That you get to learn and distinguish where they're coming from because of the way they play. Well, that's the way it was in a lot of these African tribes when they used to get together. Even families had certain calls, like when the chief, when a family will come to the plaza or the place of gathering, they a particular rhythm would change because in honor of that family, the it would change. You know what I'm saying? It's like now, when you see Boricua, you will hear the bomba and the plena. People are distinguished and they know that's African Boricua, bomba and plena. And then when you go to Santo Domingo, they got the cagao. All these different rhythms. And in Cuba, they have different. You got the Abacua house has their rhythm, right? The house of Abacua, Ifa, the bataero, the palo has a different. Also, I play in a lot of because I play in a lot of bembes and a lot of palo ceremonies. Because I'm a percussionist, so I played a lot in that. You know what I'm saying? And it's you have to know, the different families or the different orichas had different rhythmic pattern. Everything switches when a new oricha is introduced. Your Yemaya, Chango, all these different patterns they've recognized by these patterns of percussion, and that's the way it's done in Africa. And then also, in America, that also leaked over to America too, because you have patterns in Louisiana. The rhythmic pattern is different than when you would have in Chicago and in New York and in Florida. Because I lived in Florida for a while. You know what I'm saying? The music, the pattern in the music is different. And DC, the DC go-go, I love playing go-go music. But percussion, I love playing. I could play some mean go-go music. Let me tell you, I could have four congas and play you some mean go-go music from official tissue from Washington D.C. I know how to play that because I learned it and I played with groups in Washington D.C. Go-go music. So it's the same thing. You recognize what area they're from by the different sound you hear. And so music it muses. It's a pleasure thing. It muses, and for communication. But then the main thing is music, and enhance your character and your personality. It's supposed to enhance your character and personality. That's what music is about. You know what I'm saying? So you know. But anyway, that's an experience, and I know like Maxburg could attest to that. You probably experienced the same thing. You see it. If you That means you're probably about my age, 58, 59, maybe even older, because you know how things were back then. You saw it. You lived it. You saw the evolution of it. I call it the revolution of it because it was a upward standard. You're 55. Wow. Yeah. So you came right on at the tail end of a lot of that shit. Yeah, nice, nice. You know, I'm 58 going on 59. You know, so that's how we got down back then. And so the point that I was making was how it helped me reach a global and international mindset. Because I tell a lot of people, like I was speaking in the side, a brother sit down, that I'm not part of the black consciousness. I'm part of the black global consciousness. Because globally, wherever there's black people globally and they're conscious and they all experience the same thing. I remember in Puerto Rico because my family I'm a light, but my family is really, really dark. But I come from a melanated dark black woman. You know what I'm saying? Dark. And the racism was there, man. Amongst those Puerto Rican those Boricua, the Puerto Rican from the island that more lean more towards the European. They wanted to be white. They wanted to be European stuff. You know, in my town, we were more black. We knew about African century, even though there was some there that wanted to be white, but they were blacker than black, but they still wanted to be white. You know what I'm saying? So it's and I'm like, you got to be proud of who you are. You got to know your genetics, your family culture, and be proud of it. I don't care what you are, China, whatever. Be proud of who you are. Because remember, I did a little podcast about right racism and wrong racism. You know, right racism is when you're proud of who you are and you self-preserve, your self-preservation. You're happy, you're glad, you're proud, and you enhance your cultural experience. You know what I'm saying? But you don't use it to attack any other race. You know, you deal with fairness. You know what I'm saying? You don't downtrodden. You don't hinder, threaten any other race because then that's wrong racism. You see, that's the problem. A lot, and you know, and I say this to a lot of call. You got white supremacy, but you also got black supremacy. Dangerous because it's like they're doing the same thing in black supremacy that the white supremacists are doing. No difference. No difference. And I believe that's because of that systematic way. That systematic way is embedded in them through genetic mixing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you be proud of what you are. You be proud of being African. You be proud of that. But don't use it to attack anybody else. You know, and then allow fairness. In other words, the white supremacy, allow black people to govern themselves. Allow black people to take care of their community. Allow, like, look what happened in Tulsa, or look what happened in Eatonton, Georgia, with the Nawapians. Allow them to create their world, take care of their own. Allow that. Once you try to hinder that other race self-preservation, that's wrong racism. That is a wrong racism. And it could be practiced on both ends, you know, because I'm a Afro Boricua, African Boricua, right? So I deal with my culture, but I could feel comfortable around a white person. You know why? Because I look at them and I say, hey, you got your thing. You got your way. I got my way. Okay, as long as you don't interfere with me, I won't interfere with you. You know, we could deal with each other fairness. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? But don't try to downtrod me. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to put your like it's your knee on my neck because that's wrong racism. Don't do that because you ain't gonna like the outcome of that. You know what I'm saying? So I could feel comfortable with Chinese people. I could feel comfortable with any ethnic race. I could feel comfortable. Why? Because I'm comfortable in me and what I am. And that's my message to black people in America. Stop asking these other races for shit. Create your own. And I know it's difficult because when you try to create your own, they always want to stick their neck in there and they want to destroy you because they're afraid of your self-preservation. But we have to find a way to beat that. You know, so we have to move like in our Kemetic way, our ancient way. And that's when, when the Cobra, the Kundalini, and the Cobra is out, he doesn't have eyelids, he's awoke, watching his enemy, he's watching everything around his environment. That's what we got to activate again. We got to be on it. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to go back to Sonetta's platform and speak about certain things. You know, it went very well. You know, I mean, you know, very intelligent brothers on there. That Mr. X, man, intelligent, and Hansu, man, you know, Reggie too has his level of intelligence. And what I like about it, and no one was trying to act like they're more intelligent than the other person. Everybody has something to bring to the table. And Sonetta, very intelligent. I love what Sonetta his contact. You know, he has his way of doing things, and sometimes could be a little, you know, difficult. But man, he's on point. Sonetta is on point, and I think he does a lot of that because that's. I think he's learning a lot about journalism and what it is to be a journalist. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it comes with certain techniques and certain things that you have to, you know, you have to put out. You know what I'm saying? You have to stir that pot. You know, in a way, you know, I don't know. I might have wanted to see a little, not a debate, but a little difference, a little conflict to stir things up a little. I know Saul was trying to do that. I don't, but these brothers on the panel weren't about that. I'm sure if they would have brought and a lot of these brothers claim to be Israelites, but they were not. I don't think they were fanatical Black Israelites, real fanatical. Because you got some people that they get close minded, you know, and that's all they see. You know, but it's nice. I would have loved to see a Captain Tazaria on a panel like that because I want to see his level of getting without trying to bring that Hebrew Israelite agenda in there and you know to see how he would have raised up with the brothers to to address not from a biblical point of view, not from a you know that point of view of Bible or school of thought, but from a intellectual, from a different type of level, what you call conscious level, without playing with religion, without involving religion in it, from a personal experience. You know what I'm saying? That would have been interesting to see. You know, that would have been very interesting to see. That was a nice bill because I think all the brothers brought something to the table. I hope I did. I try, like I said, I try to stay on experiences because sometimes we could get caught up so much on books and reading books and stocking up all these books, but don't have the experience, and that's different. You know, I like brothers that are balanced, that they got the book, not wise knowledge, but they also have the experience. That's why I like Dr. Reggie, brother Reggie, is that he has book knowledge. He studied, but at the same time he has, because of I guess his age, and he has a wealth of um of experiences, natural experiences, wisdom that you could bring, that puts those book content in practice, applicable, you know, make it applicable, and that's where we should be at. As far as the black community is, the black community is so vast and so huge. You got some people in the community doing good, you got some doing bad. You got some nice area. I live predominantly in my complex, primarily black in my area, and then you got some people from Honduras, not too many whites, and it's very clean. Sometimes you see a little debris here and there, but it's simply clean it because people pay rent here and they want to see things clean. And you don't see that hanging out, you know what I'm saying? Now when you go up to like Sugar Creek over here and you see some of that hanging out and it's the 7-Eleven. You see, I'm careful about neighborhoods where around me there is a 7-Eleven. I'm careful of that. I'm glad I don't live too close to a 7-Eleven or a rack, a rent center, or a lot of Popeye. There's a one Popeye on the other side, and then you know what? Where that side where the Popeye is at in that area, you get a lot of gunshots. You get a lot of hangouts in that area over there. You know, So in the black community is so it's huge, it's big. I mean, I can tell you about white community in the trailer park. Disgusting. Drug addicts, meth. I mean, disgusting. So it's not, it's, you know what I'm saying? You know, the black, as far as when I hear people talk about black community, I'm really looking to see their experience of what they're experiencing. I say, well, then if you feel like that and you're living in that type of community environment, you need to get out. You either need to get out or to make the changes yourself. You know, like I said in that podcast, my mother, when we moved into a neighborhood in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? And then my mother used to form association because she was a college student. She was involved with the Young Lords, and she was a college student. And so when in the neighborhood, they used to form committees and association and the building association, and make sure that they're on top of the landlord's neck, who used to be Jewish or Albanian or whites, and they make sure that they were doing what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? But there came to a time that everyone started to give up because that element, that hood element, the thugs, all of a sudden drugs came in, pimping came in, drugs and in the neighborhood, people didn't care no more. And since people didn't care no more, the city didn't care no more. The sanitation didn't come no more. You know, the police presence became more. But when they came was to guard the place, now they came to chastise the place. Things change. When the neighborhood changed like that and you cannot control it anymore, get up and move. Sorry to say, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. You got to get up. Yeah, that's New York facts. You got to get up and you got to move. It's just simply as that. You know what I'm saying? Because you black or Hispanic, whatever, doesn't mean. But you got bad habits doesn't mean that I got to be with that. You know. And let me tell you something. I grew up. There was a time I was in the hood. I was doing my thing, and I didn't like it. I had to do it in means of survival too. I went that road. I went that road, but I'll tell you something. I felt out of place, and at times when I saw things I didn't like that was going on in the hood, I would speak out. I would speak out. Sometimes to the point where I had to arm myself. You know, got to put on that Teflon or arm myself with a pistol because I knew that I I stepped on somebody's toes because this person is an idiot. This person is a tyrant. He's looking at the community and want a predator on top of the community. You know, his own people. You know, and out here I come like, yo, I ain't with that shit. No, it ain't gonna happen here. You ain't gonna rape that little boy. You ain't gonna rape that little girl. Not on my watch. I got kids out here too. Not on my watch. As a matter of fact, when I'm working with a friend and they start throwing shit on the floor, yo, why you? There's a garbage can over there, bro. There's a garbage can over there. Come on. Even when I play congas in the corner, and I know that if people had to go to the next day, I had to tell them, yo, we need to stop this. Why people got to go to work tomorrow? You know, so that got me in trouble a lot. Oh yeah, that got me in a little bit of trouble because I was outspoken like that. You know, I was outspoken like that. Well, one of the first podcasts I'm doing. Max Bird, I thank you very much. You're by the only one that's on here online, and you know how it is. And it's about facts. You know, you know. There's a Sufi saying that you could believe in your cart that'll take you to your to your destination, but not know that there's a wheel loose. You ever heard of that one? That's a Sufi saying. You could believe in your cart. You can have that belief. My car is going to take me there, but not know that there's a wheel loose. You see, you got to get out of the car, investigate the wheels, and you got to know. And today's ain't time is like you think you're gonna get to your destination, but not know that you out of gas because you ain't looking at the barometer. And that's facts. You got to look at the barometer. You have to know. So I never say I believe in God. I say I know God. And what that means is I know the Germanic expression of what God is, the definition. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference than to say, oh, God, and we use God for lack of a better word because we're taking away from that culture of how we used to. Now there's a lot of us who got out of the box and says, you know what? Instead of saying God, why not say Nasut? Why not say Nasut? Nasut is a Kemetic word for a Nasut, a king, a god. A god is king. A god is in control of his environment. You show me what controls your environment, and I show you a god. So you got to be, and that's using that for lack of a better word, you know. And God, you can break it into acronyms: God, Gomad, Oz, and the Ba. There's so many ways. When someone talk about God, you gotta stop them and ask them, wait a minute, how are you defining God? How do you see God? Because there are many ways. Remember, we're living in the five-pointed star. One of the points is polytheism. So, which means that you could take a stone and create a God out of it. You know what I'm saying? There's so many variation definitions for that word God, which is just a Germanic word from good, which means good. Take away the O, you got God. Good. The good thing. And that is a Germanic word. God. I think it was introduced by John Hess in the Bible, I believe. But they took that and now everybody's so we're out of our mind because it has a lot to do with languages and cultures that were taken away from us. But when we get back our culture, we get back our language, even though when we learn these new languages, we're still thinking in English. Because, I can speak Spanish now, but I was brought up in a Spanish household, but I went to an English school. So it got a little confusing at times. So sometimes when I think, I can think in Spanish. I can say things in Spanish, but I'm really thinking in English. So it comes out Spanglish. That's the problem. Yeah. So we have, when you learn a new language and you learn another language, you're still going to be thinking English. The thing is to learn these language in different steps. So eventually you get rid of that English way of thinking. That's why I like Nuwapians, especially what I heard, especially with Dr. York, which I used to live with years ago. And let me read it. Yes, 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 yes. We took that for granted. But I like the work of this man, regardless of what they believe or whatever everybody believe. But I look at what the content of it, and he said in order to get the black man out of the English mentality, he had to introduce you in steps. So he introduced to you Arabic, right? So we learned Arabic, but we were still thinking in English. But then when we went to the Nubic, now the Nubic, when you refer to words in Nubic, you thought about Arabic words, right? And then you went into English words. It's a session, it's a procession. So when you go all the way to Nuwapi, right? Now Nuwapi, then you says, but this word is said in Nuwapi is the same word that's said in Nubic. You ain't thinking about English. You're thinking about how it was said in Nubic. And then after that, you say how it was said in Arabic. Then you go into the English. So you go further away, and it's a constant. It is a constant. It's a progression, a revolution that has to take place, and that's a true linguist. That's a true doctor. That's stretching the field of in your mind of getting you to away from thinking like a European. You know, you're not thinking no more like a European when you start gaining. You can't. That's what I said it was important for a person to learn these languages in session, and it was mainly for the children because in order for us to change our environment and to change this paradigm that black people are going through, we got to change what's programmed into our children because they're bombarded by racism in all levels, and from the cartoon level, from the inceptions and the cartoons, even in the hospital. A lot of these babies are being birthed in the hospital with white doctors, and that's the first thing that the child is starting to now. You know what I'm saying? It's in the subconscious mind is picking up. You know. So anyway, Let me um maybe a little tonight I'll start the actual first episode. This is like an introduction because I'm just learning about the StreamYard and I like it, and I'm gonna view it to see how it comes out in YouTube, and eventually it's working because Maxbury, you're on YouTube, right? Yeah, imagery. Yeah, the imagery today, and and that's important. The image that they put out to us, you know what I'm saying? It's very subliminal because when I in NYU I took a course, and that's the first time I really caught on to what the subliminal seduction. We was told to look at a Pepsi advertisement and a Coca-Cola advertisement. You see images that are implanted in there, and even in music they do the same thing. The tones, they're able to put certain tones or certain words in the music, coded it in the music. Your ears won't pick it up right away, but your inner ear will pick it up. Your subconscious mind pick it up. And yeah, image is very, very. We got to change the image. And I think I gotta also give it up to Dr. York of how he. People say, well, why? Like I watched a podcast of young Prince Amun, smart brother, but he's still got a lot to experience. And Jabari is very crafty. He's a very crafty individual because he studied in Cornell. He studied like I went to Ivy League school, New York University. We could become very crafty when you deal with logical fallacies, and we know how if you know about it and how you can use it and how you could sort of like control the narrative, control the conversation by certain triggers in the subconscious mind. I think Jabari is very crafty in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he took psychology because psychology is an elective. Psychology, sociology, psychology, linguistics. Those are elective courses that you have to take, whatever degree you're going for. I was in the music technology and NYU CNAP, but I had to take a psychology course. I had to take a communication. Well, communication was part of my course. There's certain electives that you have to take in order to for your degree, and very crafty. And one thing he asked Prince Amun was why the problem I have is Dr. York putting his image on like the Jesus with the lamb or this image and that image. Why did he do that? And I mean, I think Prince Amun tried to answer that, but I don't think he was getting across the way he should have. And I think Jabari missed that image is very important. Image is important because images are worth 1,000 words. And now with the moving pictures, the moving images is worth millions of words. You know what I'm saying? And coded messages. And so that was image to change, and he sacrificed his image to put it in these different pictures. And I'm sure he had a control of that at that time. But a lot of his followers. I mean, he was trying to reach out to Christians. He was trying to reach out to Israelites. He was trying to reach out to all these different religions. He was reincarnating himself in each one of those schools of thoughts, and at the same time, you if you follow his teachings, you should have been gone to that same procession. You know, but a lot of brothers that gone into that procession still didn't get it. Oh boy, man, still because you call yourself a Sabian, why? You think you might be so smart, whatever, but there's a lot of things you miss. There's things that I miss. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I try to always come out of that box. I don't care who you are. I need to ground myself. I need to come out of my box, that box. I need to look at it from another perspective, an outer perspective. You know what I'm saying? And that comes through practice. You know what I'm saying? Sure, I'm a black Israelite because that's what some people call me. They see me as that. The tribe of Ephraim, something like that. Sure, that's what you see. Sure, sure. But brother, can I get respect and I respect you? And you know what I'm saying? Sure, I'm a Christian. Some sees me like that. You go to a certain part of the world. Sure, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, those are all. Those are all eth- national, ethnic schools of thought. Those are schools of thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I could be anything you want me to be in terms of those schools of thoughts. You know, but I learned that no matter and this is what I'm gonna stop here. One of the first realization consciousness moves that we all should practice is you got to ground yourself and you got to touch yourself. Feel yourself. It says, I'm here. Where is there? But here. Get it? Where? Take out the W. You got here, there. Take out the T. You got here. I'm here. I'm in this body. I'm this. I'm that. You know what I'm saying? Because that grounds you. Some people get caught up of what's out there that they don't notice what's in here. How you feeling it? Touch yourself. You're real. There are people that walk around and think they ain't real. There are people that could walk into a running car because they're stay caught up. And that happened to me before. You get so caught up in your mentality, in your mind, whatever, you forget that your physical body is also here. And you got to be careful of that. You know, you're aware. You got to be aware of that. So you're here. And you're in nature. You're part of nature because when you look at the Kemetic hieroglyphics in the wall and on the wall and those pictures of natural nature, it's telling you this is part of who you are. You're expressing yourself. This is who you're part. And then you have to. That's how you see the ancient Kemetic. You got to ground yourself, touch yourself. I'm here. I'm here. I'm real. I'm real. You know. And that's one of the first laws, sacred knowledge. Anyway, peace. For those who's going to probably see or hear this in the future. But tonight I'm gonna talk about dimensions, and very interesting because, like I said, it's not what I know. Yeah, it's what I know, what I experience, and not only what I experience, what has been passed down from mouth to ear, and it made a lot of sense. And you know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about that and logical fallacies. Break down these different logical fallacy, inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning is important, and I want to put it in the content in a very simple content that anyone could under understand this and stand to reason with it because it's in them. I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm just as smart as them. I'm not more intelligent. Ain't no one most high because when you got a most high, you got a most low. And when you got a most high, there's no ending to that. There's more high than that and higher than on and on. I'm most alive in my body, most alive. Okay? Peace and blessing.